Seriously? Hello Kitty? Seriously? It's free?
Random topic here, but I just found out that Hello Kitty is not what I thought it was. Turns out what seemed to be a simple concept to sell toys and merchandise is more complicated than you'd think. It's the 50th anniversary of Hello Kitty, the best known character under Sanrio, a Japanese entertainment company that licenses and designs products for kawaii pop culture. Sanrio started out as a regular entrepreneur's merchandising company back in 1960. The founder figured he could sell more shoes by painting flowers on them. And from there, the Japanese licensing rights to Peanuts, the American comic strip, were bought so Snoopy could start being used on the merchandise. Having to pay royalty fees are pretty tough for any business, especially a new one. So in 1973, the company officially became Sanrio, and designers were hired to create original characters to use for their future merchandise. Hello Kitty was to be introduced in 1974. Initially, she was shown on a coin purse with nothing else but the words, "Hello!" She was simply known as the White Kitten with no name. Since Sanrio and its founder already seemed to have a big interest in pop culture, given how they paid to use Snoopy, this could be a reference to the man with no name. But Sanrio was still just fleshing out the details because they wanted Hello Kitty to not be based in America or Japan. Interestingly enough, British culture was trendy in 70s Japan. So Sanrio was like, hey, why don't we make her British? They gave her this little British home with a little British family, including a twin sister. One thing that also made Hello Kitty British is, you wouldn't believe this, the name Kitty. The original designer herself apparently got Kitty from Alice's cat from the book Through the Looking Glass, written by Lewis Carroll, who was an author in England. The hello part of the name was just Sanrio knowing that Kitty would reflect the brand, and the founder wanted to include a greeting to everyone who saw the design. The original designer of Hello Kitty would eventually leave the company, but more characters continued to come out, like Tuxedo Sam, the Tubby Penguin, and the White Rabbit character, My Melody. But none of them at the time were coming anywhere close to the appeal Hello Kitty was having. And without a design lead, the future of Hello Kitty was uncertain. But in 1980, Sanrio would find a new lead designer, and she's actually still the lead designer of Hello Kitty. In the 80s, she would build off of the little details already made for Hello Kitty and made new designs and new lore, while being inspired hugely by fashion and pop culture. While keeping up with trends, Hello Kitty and her Sanrio friends would get their first cartoon in 1987. And here's an interesting fact. Tara Strong voiced Hello Kitty on this cartoon, and it was her first major cartoon voiceover.
What's this? I must have fallen asleep.
But Sanrio was getting even bigger over this time, internationally, from the late 80s through the 90s. Even more characters were being made, like Keroppi in 88, Pachaco in 89, Spotty Dotty in 90, and my personal favorite, Bad Batch Maru in 1993, Shaco Cat in 1996, and you get the idea. With the help of her friends, Hello Kitty's popularity in late 90s Japan was at its peak, as she was the country's top grossing character. Eventually, by the early 2010s, she'd be third place behind Pikachu. But unlike Pikachu, Hello Kitty's popularity dropped off pretty quickly throughout the 2000s. Hello Kitty and Sanrio actually have a lot of competition. The cute mascot thing is something Japan is known for. Like, there's a mascot character for just about everything you can think of. And then Pokemon blew up, and then all of a sudden there was over 200 new potential mascot characters. But sometimes it actually takes more than just a mascot character to sell a brand. In regards to Hello Kitty dipping in popularity, the New York Times wrote an analysis on the brand and pointed out that her biography wasn't compelling enough and said that she had a weak characterization, like maybe meaning oversimplified. It pointed out that Hello Kitty not being drawn with a mouth has dampened her success in animation over the years. Sanrio actually had a reason for this. It wasn't just lazy character design. Representatives for Sanrio have said that they want people to project their feelings onto the character and be happy or sad together with their Hello Kitty. That's why there's no mouth. Others have said she has no mouth because she speaks from the heart. She is Sanrio's ambassador to the world and isn't bound to any particular language. The current designer herself has said that you can't see her mouth because it's covered in fur, and that actually makes the most sense. So there's actually a lot of uncertainty surrounding the actual concrete background for Sanrio's #1 character, and it makes you wonder how much thought was even put into the characters past their design and their name. This is what the analysis from New York Times was talking about on Hello Kitty having a weak characterization. The designers have actually been doing their best to keep growing Hello Kitty and giving her more of a backstory to stand out in a country full of mascots. Originally, the Hello Kitty brand was marketed towards children and preteens, but in the 90s it became more of a nostalgia item for adults and teenagers. Growing a brand with its fans while also building a new, younger audience is always good for business. And in 1999, they gave Hello Kitty a boyfriend named Dear Daniel, who is also from London. In 2004, during Hello Kitty's 30th anniversary, a Persian cat character would become the pet of Hello Kitty. She looks just like Hello Kitty, but is more obviously a cat. I guess this is around the time Sanrio started correcting people when they said Hello Kitty was a cat. Sanrio has responded to people curious for clarification that
Hello Kitty is not a cat. She's actually a little girl.
she is a cartoon character, she is a little girl, she is a friend. And then they'd point out that she has an actual cat for a pet. Never mind that they look identical though. Questions would keep coming to Sanrio though, like, if not cat, why does she have whiskers and cat ears? If she ain't a cat, is My Melody not a rabbit? Is Bats Maru not a penguin? Is Cat in the Hat not a cat? All because they have anthropomorphic traits? It's like the Goofy and Pluto debate. Like, is Goofy not a dog because he doesn't walk on all fours? The more Sanrio gets pressed on these questions, the more it seems like they don't actually know what to say. These questions come up to Sanrio every 5 years or so, especially around the time they try to celebrate Hello Kitty's anniversary, funny enough. So without any real details about these characters, it's only natural that over time, the lore would get confused, misunderstood, or even forgotten by the fans and even the designers themselves. After word got out that Hello Kitty was a little girl in the 2000s, at some point around the 40th anniversary in 2014, Sanrio's PR was called for a clarification on Hello Kitty being a human girl. Sanrio would once again make a polite yet blunt response, saying, "We never said she was human." They would compare Hello Kitty to Mickey Mouse, explaining that no one would mistake Mickey for being a human, but at the same time, he's not really a mouse either. It's something in between that. When asked why Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth, Sanrio replied, "We never said Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth." And most recently, in 2024, for the 50th anniversary, representatives of Sanrio are once again having to explain what Hello Kitty is in their interviews. Every decade, there's a new generation of people who get flabbergasted at finding out that Hello Kitty is not just a Japanese cat like you would think. You'll have some people feeling gaslighted and just truly shocked and appalled hearing about the news. It's not Sanrio's fault that a whole generation of people didn't know Hello Kitty was a little British girl. Sanrio has been kinda defensive over the years about the Hello Kitty lore, but it's really not that complicated, and Sanrio shouldn't have to keep explaining it to people. Then again, they should have a better grasp on what the lore is themselves, and stop acting like people are slow for not understanding Hello Kitty's background. I mean, it's pretty weird. She's apparently as British as Peppa Pig and Thomas the Tank Engine, but you wouldn't know it. Clearly a cat, but she's not a cat. Actually, the more I found out about Hello Kitty's backstory, the more I actually didn't care. The brand, along with Sanrio, does just fine doing what it's been doing for decades, selling merchandise and advertising as character mascots do. Hello Kitty never needed a complex backstory to stand out. The brand is something that adapts to new trends and appeals to people of all ages. In the late 2000s, darker, edgier Hello Kitty designs started coming out because emo culture was popular. And if you didn't like emo Hello Kitty, you could get one of those sparkly GIF stickers I used to see on everyone's MySpace page. Right when superhero movies were really starting to get popular, a superhero Hello Kitty alter ego was designed called Ichigo Man. And even now, as anime is more popular in America than it's ever been, you'll find t-shirts like this. Hello Kitty and Friends in cosplay. Her background information from the very beginning has been there if you need it, but it clearly does not matter, not even to Sanrio, as long as you don't call her a human or a cat. Hello Kitty in canon likes to play the piano, but with what fingers? Doesn't she have paws? Does it matter? And everyone seems to forget that she has a twin sister named Mimi. Then again, who cares? It's a literal copy of Hello Kitty. The Hello Kitty brand really just speaks for itself. No mouth is necessary. Like and subscribe to Retro Sick for more random nostalgia and interesting coincidences surrounding said nostalgia, and I will see ya next time.